Hey y'all, my name is Marsai Martin and I want to welcome you to our incredible show, SheEO, presented by Walmart. The title is a play on CEO, the acronym of Chief Executive Officer, that of course we mixed in with the word she, because around here we think fierce women and especially powerful women of color should be profiled, lifted up, and listened to for their advice, their wisdom, and the inspiration that they bring. And you know, being a SheEO myself, I might just have some things to add and some questions of my own for these wonderful ladies. And speaking of which, for our first episode, we have none other than the incredible powerhouse that is the Tara Darnley. Tara is an inventor, entrepreneur, and an innovation strategist. In her history, she's been a stay-at-home mom and made a business out of helping other companies grow. But since 2014, she has been the CEO of Darlyng Co, a company she conceived with her co-founder, Carl. The company has found high success in the marketplace, including housing the very first Black-owned baby registry. Her most recent company, Made for Locs, caters to people with locks and has expanded into being available at a whopping 1,700 Walmart locations. A longtime entrepreneurial expert who has been featured in Forbes, Marie Claire, The Steve Harvey Show, and Black Enterprise. The Tara Darnley is making it happen. So please welcome the Tara Darnley, the SheEO by Walmart.
So amazing to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hello, hello.
Excited to be here.
Take a seat, relax. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Excited to be talking to you. And listen, I want to know it all. I want to know what made you start, what's your background, just tell us your story.
Absolutely. So it was definitely not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually Jamaican.
Okay.
So coming all the way from Jamaica at 16 years old, and I moved to New York, Brooklyn to be specific.
Yeah.
And I remember coming off the plane, it was like April. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's going to be warm like Jamaica.
Oh, girl.
And I can never forget coming outside and then this cold hair just like, it literally slapped me. Like,
Wow.
and then I get to Brooklyn and it's all tall buildings. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, this is how it is. So everything just clicked and was like, oh, this is not what I thought it was. Jamaica, I missed a lot of stuff, like the food, the culture. And that's what actually inspired a lot of the reasons why I created a brand for Locs. I remember growing up as a little girl, and in our community, we have the Rastafarians. So think about Bob Marley.
Okay,
right? Yeah. And those men are the most respected in the community. And the way they treat women, top tier. Ooh. So I would be walking imagine a 6, 7-year-old walking on the road. I felt safe because they were in a community. And then I would pass and be like, hey, Empress, good morning, have a beautiful day. Every day. And so that's how I learned how a man should treat a woman in terms of respect.
Right.
When I came here,
listen, the stakes were high.
They were like, girl, come
Down
here.
They'd be like,
right. So from then, I saw how they treated their women. I saw how they ate healthy. Like just the culture was different.
Yeah.
And I wanted to integrate a part of that culture into my brand today. So clean ingredients, showing women that they are amazing, they're queens. And so when you wear our products and you walk through, there's a lot of myths about locks, that we don't wash it, they smell. I want when you wear our products that you're walking through a room and you're stopping people, they're like, wait, what's that? Yeah. Why does your hair smell so good?
With you also being a Black woman, what were the biggest and hardest challenges that you had to overcome with you just being you?
Looking back at some of the things that I went through, like working a 9-to-5, I got laid off when I was like 3 months pregnant because it's like, okay, you're worthless to us now.
Wow.
So I decided to start my family. And, you know, I remember just even us having the idea and trying to figure out where to start.
Yeah.
So we actually started with Darlyng Co, which is our kids brand. And that really came from having a child.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep.
So when my daughter was 2 months old, she started to teeth. And if you know anything about kids, everything goes in the mouth. And so she was constantly chewing on her hands. And that was what inspired the first invention that we had, which was the Yummy Teeth Mitten. And from there, we have over 100 products now for kids, and just loving the ride and being able to just wake up, create. And when my kids do crazy stuff, I actually make products from that.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense.
It makes products. Like, we're able to make products from their craziness. So it's been a fun ride for sure.
That's so sweet. Okay, well, how important is it for you to be the owner of your own stuff? Because I know we can create stuff often, and as soon as we tell this other person, it's their hands, or they are in charge of it or whatever. So how important is it for you to claim what's yours?
You hear about Black inventors, but we oftentimes never get credit for being inventors. And we invent a lot of stuff. And so I had those things imprinted in my mind, like I wanted to get credit for this idea. So the first thing that came to mind was patent. How should I get a patent? How can I get my product trademark? But I didn't know how.
Right.
And I remember reaching out to like a local small business program and not getting a response. I was nursing, so I stayed up late at night researching how to patent an invention. I was able to trademark the products myself. A lot of it was just Google University.
Google and taking a risk.
Yes, and
For
taking
sure.
a risk, just not being ashamed, because we don't get a guideline. We don't get a book that says, here's how to be an entrepreneur and do it the right way.
Wow. No, that's amazing. And I don't think a lot of people know about the patience that comes with it, especially, like, I know for me, like, even with me creating my first movie, literally we were saying the project, we came up with the idea, and then it didn't even get made until like 4 years later.
Yes.
Because of just like, oh, whatever happened to this, it's
Yes.
the little things that
Yes.
really make it just go wild.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
it comes back at the perfect time. So I guess my next question would be, throughout that time, like what was your biggest obstacle trying to get to the place that you felt comfortable in?
The biggest obstacle for me, and I didn't know it then, was funding. It's always funding for us Black women.
Yeah.
Starting a business, it's really always funding and getting people to like understand your idea and support your ideas. And so I started to reach out to manufacturers, trying to get it made, get prototypes. I didn't even know what a prototype was.
Right.
So I'm like, they're like, oh, you need a prototype. What is that? You need a packaging. What is that? You need this. Like, the list just kept getting, every time we crossed that hurdle, it was like, well, you need this, you need that. For kids' products, you need to get it tested.
Yeah.
What do you mean tested? Well, you want someone to choke.
Yeah.
So it's like all these different things just kept coming up, and it started to get expensive. So you needed insurance for kids' products. And we're talking about like 2014, that was like $20,000, $30,000. What? Where am I gonna get that?
Yeah.
So we had to figure it out really quick, finding a manufacturer that was cost effective, and really finding a community in the beginning. I started to go online and I told moms what I was doing. I told them the struggles I was having, and they were like, we're gonna buy it. Where is it?
Aw.
Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make this happen. So really being transparent throughout the process as well, and not like carrying everything on your shoulder,
Right.
trying to figure it out, was really key for us. But yes, funding is still an issue.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's still an issue.
Yeah, I bet.
But yes, that was the number one thing.
So I talk a lot about transitions because there's a lot of those periods in your life that like just completely changes it. So I guess one of them, I would think it's the fact that Walmart is selling your stuff. One of the biggest companies ever. So how was that for you when you knew that was gonna happen?
I actually got introduced to Walmart through a relationship that I had with a partner. And they were like, well, we have a pitch competition coming up. So I was like, okay, I'll pitch. So I pitched for that and I won. And the buyer for Walmart was actually one of the judges. So I was like, okay, so what happens now? It's never like, you tell someone about your product and then you're on shelf the next day. It's a long process.
Yeah.
And you really have to prove yourself. So won that. And then a crazy thing with buyers is they change. And so the buyer changed. And she was like, well, you have to pitch the new one.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, darn, okay. So got a meeting with the new one. I'm doing all the presentation. I'm like killing it. And she was like, amazing, that's great. I actually had Locs a few weeks ago and I cut it because of all the problems you listed. And I was like, well, okay, Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. So she understood exactly what problem I was solving, why there was a need for my products. And this goes back to why representation matters in corporations, in places that you want to be. Because if I was talking to a bald head person who didn't look like me, which I've done before,
Yeah.
and they were like, girl, I don't know what you're selling.
Yeah.
But we're going to try. But this case, she understood exactly what the problem I was solving, who it was for. And she was like, oh, this will do amazing. And so she was like, well, let's test 150 stores. I was like, okay, cool. So 150 is nothing, but to me, it's a lot. And she came back and she was like, you know what? Let's bump that to 450. I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
What? And she was like, yeah, I think we're going to do really well. Let's push it to 450. So our first year, we did extremely well. We just kept selling out. I have an amazing tribe, we call them. And they show up, they show out, they clear the shelves. I remember the first time walking into Walmart stores and seeing my products, and I was just like, wow, like this is happening. Like it's literally on shelves. And coming back and it's not there. I was a little bit upset. I'm like, well, what's going on? Why my product not there? Oh, they sold out.
Oh, no, they cleared.
They cleared it. So that's like every city I go to, I will literally just drive to the Walmart to see, to experience that, because it never gets old. And today we're in over 1,700 stores, which is crazy to me. Like you can literally walk into 1,700 stores. So making our products affordable was one thing, but Walmart made it accessible. And so now that representation is even on a larger scale where people that look like me and have blocks like me, they can walk into a store now and say, oh, here's finally a shampoo for my hair and pick it up. So it's been an incredible ride to have that partnership. And our goal is to be in all the stores ultimately. We're breaking those barriers. We've tapped into a white space that was needed to be tapped in. And I'm glad to have been the person to do that. Especially as a Black founder, because we normally don't get a seat at the retail table.
That's so beautiful. Oh,
thank you.
With you being a SheEO.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
I want to know, how important is it for you and Black women in your life to help support you and vice versa?
It's absolutely important. So right now I'm building a new team through a new brand, and 100% of the staff is Black women.
Boom.
But it takes a team. It takes a village. For me, I need a village. I have 2 beautiful kids. I have a village taking care of them right now. And where I could feel like I could go out into the world and I don't have to think, oh my God, what are my kids doing? Did they eat today? Like, I don't need to think about those things because I have a village that helps me with that. So I think it's so important to get yourself a village. It could be family members and, trust the process as you go. And I know those things sound cliche, but it's really as simple as that. It really is.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Now, since we have an amazing audience that will be seeing this, what advice would you give to them in wanting to start their own companies, or like even steps that you would advise them to do?
Write it down. Write the vision down. Make it plain. That for me has been key. I have ideas every single day. Got to throw them out sometimes.
No, listen,
Because you're like, wait, it's going to take a good 100K to make this happen. We're not doing this. But write it down. And write out the plans. Like it could be a to-do list for that vision that you have. If you have to file an LLC right away, if you have to find the business name right away, just little small steps at a time. That's practical, and go for it. I'm a big believer of execution, and I'm also a big believer that God gives us ideas, and if you don't act on them, He's gonna pass them on to somebody else.
Yeah, that's dope. I have like 12 journals at least.
Girl.
I have like about 12 journals that are actively
We're not gonna journal shame today.
No, we're not journal shaming. Please don't. Please don't. But
we all have a few.
Because my thoughts constantly spill over and over again. But I think it's also very important that you organize your thoughts as well. Because thoughts can be thoughts, but making sure that you create a plan for yourself and you never forget them
Yes.
is, even if they're like as crazy or as dumb as they seem, or look, I'm a kid, so I'm just starting to think about the money part. But I used to have ideas where my parents would be like, no, because of this. But, you know, I think being able to journal things down and having a journal for work or family or even like therapy notes or just really being in tune with yourself is very important, and it can feed into your work life as well. So
absolutely. And when you look back at those notes, when you've accomplished those things, it just feels much more better. Like, it's like I could go back and I could see the chicken scratch drawing that I did of a product, and I'm like, ooh, girl, what was that? But now I can see the product on shelves. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't have all the tools because I'm not an artist. I can't draw, but I can do my whatever concept I have of a drawing, the doodles. And I could give it to someone who will take that idea and actually make it something. And it's like, yes. When I'm talking to my designer, I'm like, yes, this is what I meant. This is it. She's like, well, that's not what you drew.
No,
but I get you.
That's hilarious. So, I mean, I feel like to even just wrap this up, I wanna know, what advice would you give to your younger self? Or even advice that you would give to your kids about just being or creating a seat at the table?
Yeah. So there's a phrase that I actually trademark, is dream big, execute hard. Dream as big as you can, but you have to do the work to execute on that dream. No matter how small it may seem, how big it may seem, because these are all big dreams for me. They're still a dream. I'm still living in a dream. Being on this couch is a dream. But I try to also be present for all of it. And because of our skin color, it's harder. And that's just being transparent, that's being real. Because we're a Black woman, it's super hard. Don't be afraid of no's. We're gonna get plenty. I'm sure you got no's.
Plenty. That one yes is the only thing that matters, though.
Right. We're gonna get plenty of no's, but just keep knocking down those doors. Keep going, and find out what success looks like for you. Because it's not always about money. For me, success is having freedom to be with my kids whenever I choose. That's something, having a job, I wasn't able to do. So define what success means for you. It could be something as simple as time that money can't buy,
travel.
Peace. So yeah, those are my biggest advice to anyone looking. Dream big, execute hard.
No, and I think that's gonna help so much for the amazing women listening to this today. Thank you so much, Tara. I have loved talking with you today, and I just wish you so many amazing successes in your journey, more beautiful transitions.
Thank you.
And man, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Just want to give you your flowers.
And you too. Keep doing what you're doing. You are inspiring so many women. Like, you are a real boss. Like,
Thank you.
You're the definition of a SheEO.
You a SheEO, girl. You a SheEO.
You a SheEO. Keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Wow. What an amazing time talking with Tara Darnley, CEO and co-founder of Darlyng Co, and Made for Locs. And listen, between those two companies, our babies are cared for, our hair is cared for, and Tara is basically hooking us up. And it has been such a pleasure to learn about her companies, and all the ways she's putting on for women of color and families everywhere. And as far as the SheEO goes, Tara Darnley is up in there with the best of them. Thank y'all so much for watching today, and make sure you check out all of our other SheEO episodes presented by Walmart.